I am seriously in love with this game. Ladies and gentlemen, agents of the R.O.D.E Foundation, welcome back to the channel. I'm Hotrod, and today we are going to be talking about a rather special tactical shooter game that I have been expecting for quite a while now. Thunder Tier 1. The beta weekend took place recently and hopefully is still running for a couple of days or so by the time this video comes out. And this was the first time that I could actually play a decent playable version of the game, and honestly, it didn't disappoint at all. It actually over-delivered on my expectations, which is why I want to talk about this game, because I will most likely feature this game often on the channel moving forward. And so before making tutorials and cinematic let's plays and so on, I wanted to give you a brief introductions to what Thunder Tier 1 is and what I like about this project with a short video. So without further ado, let's get started. Thunder Tier 1 is an interesting 3D top-down tactical shooter game in which the player controls a squad of operators who are tasked with a diversity of objectives they must complete as part of their missions. The game will feature a full campaign mode, a single scenario mode, as well as different PvP modes. Whether you want to play this game alone, in co-op or with randoms, that's completely up to you. So as you can see, the game already provides a fair amount of gameplay. But the interesting thing is the level of replayability I could already feel during the beta weekend, since players get a few different settings they can tweak in order to change their experience when playing the single scenario mode. And that's only the beginning, because there are quite a few other features that will ensure that this game can be supported by both the developers and the community for years and years after release, with interesting and original content. But anyway, we could play this single mission or single scenario mode, which included 3 different missions for which you could tweak the gameplay. So I had an amazing time playing those different scenarios over and over again, trying different things, different loadouts and different situations. It's challenging, it's interesting, it's fun. The game is kind of a mix between Splinter Cell, SOCOM and Commando. Maybe things will be a little bit different in the campaign mode, maybe a little bit more scripted with more restrictions on how much you could tweak, but you could really change a lot of things. You could tweak how difficult the AI could be, how many AI enemies you would get in the scenario, how much damage the AI would deal, and how much health you will have when you start the scenario. Maybe you want to play during daylight or at night, maybe early in the morning or late in the evening, or maybe you want the weather to be really bad, really sunny, really foggy, or with a lot of rain, or very stormy. It was really good to see how many options you had to tweak the gameplay experience and to try the same scenario over and over again, but with different situations. It was really interesting. And that's a really good sign that you could invest in the game that has a really good replayability. And all of this obviously impacts the gameplay as well, since the line of sight of your character or your drone are important features of this game, since this is what defines what you can see, what you can hear, the orders you can give to your squad mates, and so on. So it's not just about making things look pretty and different, there is a real impact on your gameplay, which is amazing. Besides this, the movements are really amazing, the gameplay and the shooting is hardcore in terms of TTK and actually feels pretty satisfying, which is kind of weird to say for a top-down tactical shooter game. It's unusual, but it's really well made. And like I said earlier, it's pretty realistic, so you can actually shoot lights out, you can shoot through surfaces, you can even destroy parts of the environment in order to destroy covers that could potentially be used by the enemy. And more importantly, the gameplay is hardcore. It's a proper hardcore tactical shooter game, which means very low TTK for enemies and yourself, realistic features, rich interaction with the environment, like I said just a moment ago, and it's easy to die. So you are encouraged to take your time, be extremely tactical, be strategic if you can, and follow the basics that will ensure the success of your mission. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Another Important feature that many people would expect from a proper tactical shooter game is obviously the character and the weapon customization features, and I believe that Thunder Tier 1 takes place during the Cold War era, so you won't have the most modern weapons and gadgets available in the game. Although we will talk about that a little bit more later, but what we already had in the beta weekend was already pretty good. We had weapons that were ranging from shotguns to SMGs, ARs, and I think we had one sniper rifle, all of which could be equipped with different muzzle attachments, mostly silencers, rail attachments, and sights as well, and all of that would actually impact the stats of your weapon. You can also change the items used by your character, so helmet, body armor, the rig and the backpack, and the gadgets you want to take with you. You can also interact with the inventories of the enemies or the friendlies that are dead and on the ground, so that's pretty cool. But you could take stuff like C4 charges, wire cutters, underdoor cameras, or first aid kits depending on your playstyle and the tactics you want to use to complete your missions. The customization of your character uses a point system, so the more items you give to your character, the more points it uses, and you might not be able to start the missions depending on the settings used for that scenario. So when you play a single scenario, you can actually tweak how many points you're allowed to use when creating your loadout. And I believe the default limitation is 24, you can go lower than that, and I think it can go up to 40 points. So if you want to convert your character into a mule, you can definitely do that, but you will be much slower and you would probably make a lot of noise as well, which is probably not the best option. You can create templates as well so that you can easily switch between, let's say, your light loadout or sniper loadout and so on, which is really cool, especially when you play PvP. And then more importantly, you can change the gender of your operator and change the aspect of the operator. It's pretty basic, or at least it was in the beta weekend, but I would assume there would be more cosmetics coming in the future, especially as we get closer to the release of the game, and potentially after the release of the game with maybe a season pass or maybe a store or some DLCs, and potentially the modding community as well, which we will talk about in a bit. Now let's talk about the side features, because they are the ones that really made this game stand out and go above and beyond my expectations. And bear in mind, we have only seen a small part of the game during this beta weekend. The first one is the Steam Workshop and the modding support. That's right. The first thing that is really amazing is that the game has been developed in order to support modding, from weapon and gadgets to character customization or even scenarios, maybe campaign and game modes. The modding community will be able to add tons of interesting new content to this game, which means endless replayability, endless reasons to play this game, endless reasons to create content, endless reasons to invest in Thunder Tier 1 once the game is launched. And I am not even mentioning all the contents that will be coming from the official developers as well, all the new campaigns, the new scenarios, the new improvements and features that will be coming after the game has been released. Also, you want to play a version of Thunder Tier 1 that has modern weapons only? You can. Or maybe you want to play a different faction or different army corps, or maybe you want to play a SWAT version with indoors CQC scenarios only. Just imagine the possibilities of endless fun this game will provide on top of all the official content the developer will release. It's absolutely amazing. The other feature I'm really happy to see already in this game and that I've used extensively in this video, as you can see, is the replay mode. And this is something I am absolutely a big fan of, because it really helps me improve my production value. I want you to come to this channel and feel good about investing your time watching my content. I want you to come here as if you had purchased a cinema ticket and you are leaving the room satisfied about the movie you've just watched and the quality and the work that went into it. And features like this really help to achieve that. And so to conclude, I feel Thunder Tier 1 is going to be an amazing game. You can tell it's a passion project. It's made both to satisfy a desire to make a really good top-down tactical shooter game, but also to make a project that can support a community of passionate gamers who love tactical shooter games, and a community who also wants to be creative with modding and much more. Obviously, there were a couple of things that I hope we will see improved as we get closer to the final release of the game, and that is the camera movements, which are sometimes a little bit too sensitive. In my opinion, it's, you need to get the settings right, but you get different options. You can have a camera that tracks your mouse, or you have ways to update the camera angle really quickly, but it's definitely better than what I've seen in most top-down games. As for the replay system, I would love to see a feature to share replays with friends, or maybe on a public website, kind of like a community hub. And also if we could change some of the settings, like the time of the day and the weather conditions while watching the replay, but I guess that might cause some desync and inconsistencies in the replay. So it's not really a big deal at all. I'm already having so much fun with this feature. I can't wait for this game to be released, and I hope you are too, because there will be a lot more Thunder Tier 1 on my channel moving forward. I guess some of the stuff I'd like to see improved with the replay system is more settings for the cameras, more settings to change the speed of the cameras, settings to save camera positions and angles, and the options to switch between positions to make nice transitions. Options to track AI or players, as well as predefined angles like the muzzle camera or shoulder camera, and more shortcuts, definitely more shortcuts for all of those different options that I hope we're gonna get before the game gets released. Anyway, this is it for this brief introduction of Thunder Tier 1. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and to subscribe to support the channel, and let me know in the comments below what you think of Thunder Tier 1, and if you played the game during the beta weekend and what your favorite feature was. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.